stores and services are now stopping paying royalties for fully AI-generated music. This is huge. So I do want to say this depends upon the store, the service, and more, but this seems to be getting more popular. First off, as you can see here right away, Tidal is to ban AI-generated music and not pay royalties. They said here that the streaming service Tidal said on Monday that artists uploading wholly or substantially created using AI will have them label them as such, and those songs won't be eligible for royalties. Of course, there is a gray area. If you're using AI as a tool, like I've mentioned in a lot of videos, it's different. But like say if you go to Suno, you just type in a prompt and release a song, Tidal will not pay you. And granted, yes, this is just Tidal, not the other services, but it seems like things are moving very fast. Because when I go here to Song Trust, this is a site I've talked about in a lot of different videos. It's a site that basically collects royalties. So they don't release music, they just collect royalties from performance rights organizations. They now have this AI involvement that's required. I've shown this in a lot of videos that if I say yes, and they go to as part of the music or their creation, they want to know, is it minor assistance, partial assistance, or majority assistance when it comes to AI generation? And they only collect royalties. Here's the things that even more interesting now in the name of science. When I go here, this is a video I did about DistroKid publishing. I've talked about it before. If I go to submit a song under DistroKid publishing, which is a new thing that DistroKid has to collect royalties from performance rights organizations, one of the things I have to click is that the lyrics and the melodies aren't 100% AI generated and a human was involved. So I was curious. In the name of science, I actually did. I submitted a song that was fully AI generated. I was like, in the name of science, what happens if I lie? Let me just say it like that. Like, what happens? Will they reject it? Will they accept it? Because it's interesting that now not only Song Trust, but now DistroKid Publishing is saying, hey, we actually want to make sure the lyrics and the melodies aren't 100% AI generated. And guess what happened? It got rejected. They said, hey, sorry, Mark, we detected that your song was fully AI generated. Therefore, you cannot get royalties from it. And it got rejected by DistroKid Publishing. Now, I did do some research. If I go to ASCAP, this is one of my songs that I submitted that is not AI. Let me say it like that. And the administrator, as you can see here, is Cobalt Songs Music Publishing. So it does seem like that DistroKid Publishing is working with Cobalt. This is their site right here. So Cobalt basically rejected my song because they detected it was fully AI generated, and therefore they didn't want to pay royalties, or it wasn't acceptable or allowed to get royalties. Now, of course, this is just a few examples, but it's a big sign of what's to come, or actually what's already happening, that stores and services are saying, hey, you know what? We're just cracking down now on AI music, on AI generated music. We're cracking down on the payment of them. Like I said, with Tidal, you can have it on Tidal, but they're going to label it and then not give you royalties. Right now, at least the exact time of this video, Deezer does allow you to keep AI generated songs on their platform, but there has been talk with them demonetizing you. Back in the day, you still got royalties. Now you might not. And now with Song Trust and Cobalt and DistroKid Publishing, and now these collection services that get these royalties from performance rights organizations now rejecting fully AI generated music, or wanting to know, hey, has this been fully AI generated or not? We're kind of now almost 100% down, going down this path now, where if you make songs that are fully AI generated, you don't get paid for them. Now, what will happen in the future? It is tough to say. Will Spotify follow suit? Arguably the biggest streaming service. What about YouTube Music? YouTube's been cracking down on AI more on the YouTube end when it comes to AI slop and AI videos, but it could be very well the same thing with YouTube Music. Could also be with Apple Music. It is tough to say, but I will say this. It seems like that the whole industry as a whole is moving this direction. Like I've said in a lot of videos recently, that's heavily cracking down on AI music, heavily cracking down on it. I could see, like I said, in the future, there being some limits. Like I mentioned how Suno now is down the limits when it comes to downloading songs. Now that they're fingerprinting and watermarking songs, you know 100% if it was AI or not. The fact that Cobalt, rejected my song that was fully AI generated when I did it as a test. All these things are showing that, one, enough is enough, I think, from a lot of streaming services. Now, I want to say, I don't judge if you release fully AI-generated music. I mean, hey, I do. On the Infinite Lamp Shop for fun, I do. But it is something to be aware of that if, let's say, you're somebody who's like, hey, I'm making all my income from fully AI-generated songs. Or it's a big part of your revenue. It's a big part of how you make money. Keep in mind, maybe near the end of this year or maybe in 2027, that might not be the case anymore. Again, it is tough to say, but I think because the industry seems to be moving this direction, to me, it means one thing, that maybe all of them are going to follow suit. Maybe it could be that in the future, all these platforms say, hey, you know what? Yeah, you can release fully AI generated songs. We're going to test it. We're going to use our own algorithms or maybe Suno's algorithms to see if it's AI or not. But if you do release it and you can keep it on Spotify, we're not going to say no to that. You can't make money from it. If someone streams it, you're not going to make any money from it. Now, where would that extra money go? I don't know. Like I've mentioned in other videos, I think it would be an interesting thing if, let's say, Spotify said, hey, if you release fully AI-generated songs, you can only get 90% of the revenue. Or maybe, excuse me, 10% of the revenue, 90% goes to, let's say, a human artist or something like that. It's interesting to see where this is going to evolve to. But one thing I'll say that's certain, that's already happening, royalty collection, getting paid for fully AI-generated songs, might be a thing of the past. That's where things are moving. Like I said, on Tidal, now you don't make any money if it's fully AI-generated. Deezer has talked about demonetization and even removing AI songs. Songtrust, Cobalt, District Publishing, like I told you, I got rejected. So I think it's very interesting seeing where the industry is going towards. And I think that, if anything, what I've noticed, not in a bad way, but I think Spotify tends to be the one that not usually acts last, but I think that because they're so big, there's a lot of thought they put into it in terms of like, okay, how do we want to deal with this? Because again, there's a lot of people releasing fully AI generated songs just trying to make money from it. Not judging, just calling balls it lies. And it could be that once Spotify says, hey, you know what? No more money to fully AI generated music, that's going to be a huge shockwave, right? So again, I don't know what's going to happen, because could it be that DigitalKid puts limits? Could it be that maybe in the next year or two that you cannot make any money from fully AI generated music, and as a result, maybe people will release it less? Because let's be honest, just to kind of call a spade kind of thing, if you think about it, I think most people, maybe 90 to 95%, who are releasing fully AI generated songs are doing it to make money. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of these services are saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, maybe it's not AI slop. Because like I said, the average song made by Suno is going to be better than the average song made by a human. So even though it's not AI slop, it's too much. Like I said, there's over 100,000 fully AI generated songs being uploaded every day. That is a lot. And of course, like I kind of briefly touched upon earlier, this does not include partly AI generated music. If you use it to generate a sample, you bring it into Ableton, if let's say you use it to create vocals or stems and you kind of use it more as a tool than like an end-all be-all, completely different story. And yes, there is definitely a gray area. Like maybe to some people they use 90% AI and 10% human. Maybe some people it's 60% AI and 40% human, right? Of course, there's different combinations. This is a gray area, but I think the big thing they're really targeting are basically fully AI generated songs. And it could be that this year it's already kind of happening, but maybe next year it could be a service-wide thing, maybe with DigitalKid or other independent music distributors, maybe with other streaming services, that any song that gets released that's fully AI generated, you get zero revenue.